Hi guys, it's me Terri of the Yarnjoy podcast. Welcome back to another tutorial. In today's tutorial we're going to make this simple but pretty baby blanket. It is a great beginner friendly blanket. I believe so. All you need to know is a slip stitch, how to do chains, and how to do double crochets, and that's all you need to know. It works up very pretty, I think. I used a very lightweight yarn. This is probably a very light 3-weight yarn, or maybe a heavy 2-weight yarn. I'm not sure. I don't have the ball band for it anymore, but it makes a very nice and drapey blanket, and it's making it in a solid color. It really shows off the design. You have this center piece that's got a little bit of a different type of accent design to it, and then from there as it goes out, all it is a bunch of repeats. It's just like a 3-row repeat. So let's get started working on this, and we'll now go on and I'll let you know what you need in order to do this pattern. Okay. So you're going to need some yarn, of course. Now I think it looks really pretty in a baby weight yarn, but in today's tutorial, but you can use whatever weight yarn that you would prefer. I'm going to use today this worsted weight yarn just because I think it'll be easier to see. Whatever yarn you decide to do, make sure that you use a hook that is a little bit larger than what the yarn calls for, so that way you'll have a really nice drape to the final product. You can do a little swatch, a little piece, and see how you like how the pattern is feeling, and also how big the holes turn out. If you feel like the holes are turning out too large, then you can always go down hook sizes. But in this project I'm going to be using a J hook, which is a 6mm hook, and like I said, I'm using worsted weight yarn. So you're going to need your crochet hook, your yarn, and of course, scissors just at the end of your project, and also a darning needle to weave in any ends that you may have. Okay, so let's just get started. So to get started, we want to attach our yarn with a slip stitch onto our hook. Okay, and now we want to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we want to insert our hook into the very first chain back at the beginning, and I like to use my thumb and middle finger here to kind of pinch that opening, hold it open while I do a slip stitch to close up the ring. That way when you move your fingers out of the way, you see that you've left a hole open, and it's easy to work into that. Okay, so now I want to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. This is going to be for round 1. Okay, so I'm going to work over this beginning tail as I go around. Okay, so I chain 3. Now I'm going to do 2 double crochets into that ring. 1 and 2. Okay, now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and now I'm going to do 3 double crochets into that ring, working over the beginning tail. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I'm going to chain 2 again, and then I'm going to do 3 more double crochets into that ring, working over that tail. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and as you can see, we have 3 double crochet groups, and want to do it one more time. So chain 2 and go, and then put 3 double crochets into that ring. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, chain 2, and now we're going to finish off the round by going into the top of the very first the chain 3 and do a slip stitch into that top chain. Okay, so that completes round 1. Okay, now going on to round 2. Now, one thing I do want to show you that I changed from the project that I was working on is when I was doing it, I was kind of coming up with the pattern and crocheting at the same time. And so I ended up having where I connect each round, it ended up being in the middle, and so it does leave this seam, okay, that you can kind of see there. And so I changed this new pattern up just a little bit so that way your seam is going to be in the corners and so that it won't be as noticeable. So in order to do that, you need to start each round in the corner. And so instead of cutting and then restarting your yarn, you can slip stitch into the remaining 2 double crochets there, and it will get you into the corner, okay, because I slip stitched when I joined into the top of the chain 3, which is the first double crochet. So now I want to slip stitch in the top of the next double crochet, and then slip stitch in the top of the next double crochet, and now I want to slip stitch into the corner. Okay, so that puts me into the corner. Okay, so going on to round 2, I want to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and now I'm going to do 2 double crochets into that corner space, 1 and 2, okay, and then I want to chain 2, and now I want to do 3 double crochets into that same corner space, so 1, 2, and 3, okay. Now I want to do 1 double crochet into the next 3, in the top of the next 3 stitches, okay? So 1, and then the top of this one, there's 1 there, and then in the top of this one, there's 1 there, and that will bring us around to our next corner. So in the corner we're going to, and in each corner we're going to do, for this round, we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So now we're working into this corner, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and then chain 2, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now we're going on to down across the next side, and we're going to do 1 double crochet into each double crochet across to the next corner. Now you do want to make sure that you do put 3 in for this round. You have 3 double crochets across that side, right? 1 in each one. Sometimes that very first double crochet gets kind of covered up, see, with the shell, and you don't see that stitch, and so don't make a mistake and skip over that stitch and only end up with 2 double crochets right there. Go ahead and pull it back a little bit, and you see that there is a stitch right there that you need to do a double crochet into. So sometimes they call that a hidden stitch, I think. So anyway, there's 1, 2, and 3. 1 on top of each of those 3 double crochets from the round below. Okay, so now went into the next corner, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets into that corner space. 1, 2, 3, and then chain 2. Okay, slide it over a little bit, and then do 3 in the same space. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now remember, you have 3 double crochets there until you get to the next corner, so you make sure you have 1 double crochet in the top of each of those stitches. 1, 2, and 3 going across the side. Okay, and now we're to a corner again, so we're going to do the regular corner. For this round, it's 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Slide it over a little bit, and then chain 2, and then 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now all we have left is the last 3 double crochets there that we need to do 1 double crochet in the top of each one. Okay, so there's the top of the first one. This one actually was the beginning chain of the previous round. And then we're going to do 1 in the top of this one. Now, I did slip stitch across in the beginning to get to that corner. Remember that? Well, sometimes it's, when you go now, you have to put a double crochet into the top of that. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky knowing where you put it because of the slip stitch that we did to get to work across it early at the beginning of the round. But just go ahead and get your stitch in there on the top of each of those. Okay, and so now all we have to do, we don't chain because we're on the side here. So all we have to do is go into insert our hook into the top of the beginning chain 3 of this round, which is round 2, and do a slip stitch to finish off that round. Okay, so now we have finished round 2. Okay, so going on to round 3, we want to slip stitch across there until we get to the corner again. So we'll be starting in the corner. So I'm going to slip stitch in the top of the next 2 stitches, and that will get me over to the corner. So slip stitch into the top of that stitch, slip stitch into the top of the next stitch, and then slip stitch into the corner. Okay, so now we're in the corner. Okay, so now we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to do a corner stitch like we did the previous rounds on the corner, which will be 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. Although this champ 3 counts as our first double crochet, so 2 more into that corner space, and that will give us our first 3. And then chain 2, 1 and 2, and then 3 more double crochets into that same space. Okay, so now we're going to do an eyelet row. Okay, what I'm going to do is, remember we have that hidden stitch right there. Don't forget that one, because like I said, sometimes those 3 will cover that up and then you can miss it. It's easy to miss it. Okay, so we're going to chain 1, and this time we're not going to go into that very first stitch. We're going to skip that one and go into the very next stitch and with a double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to do that across to the next corner. So chain 1, and then we're going to skip the next double crochet and double crochet into the next double crochet. Okay, then chain 1, skip the next one, and go into the next double crochet. Chain 1, skip the next double crochet, go into the next double crochet. Okay, and then chain 1, and see, now we've got 1 double crochet left, and then we're into the corner, and so we're going to skip that one, and we're going to go right into the corner and do our 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and then chain 2, so chain 2, 1, 2, and then 3 double crochets into that same corner space, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to do that all the way around. Okay, so I'll do this next side with you, and then I'll meet you up when I get to the end. Okay, so we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip that first stitch that sometimes gets hidden. We're going to skip that one, and we're going to double crochet into the second double crochet. Okay, chain 1, skip the next double crochet into the next one. Chain 1, skip the next double crochet into the next one. Chain 1, skip the next double crochet into the next one. Okay, chain 1, skip the last double crochet, and go right into the corner with a 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, and 3 more double crochets, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we've got two rounds right there. We should have a spacing of 4 double crochets with the holes in between on each side. Okay, so going on to the next side, we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip that hidden double crochet and then double crochet into the next double crochet. See that? Chain 1, skip the next double crochet in the next double crochet. Okay, so we're going to do that, chain 1, and then we're going to do that across, and then when we get to the corner we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets, and then chain 1, and then we're going to start skipping the stitches again, you know, every other one, chain 1 and then double crochet in the next one, and then I will meet you up when I get to around to the end, when I'm going to slip stitch into the beginning chain 3 that we did. Okay, so I finished the remaining 2 sides, okay, and I already chained my 1 to skip the very last double crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch in the top of the chain, the starting chain 3, closing that off with a slip stitch. Okay, so that is the end of round 3. Okay, now going on to round 4, we're going to slip stitch into the corner. So we have to slip stitch into the top of those next 2 stitches, okay? So slip stitch into that first stitch, slip stitch into the next stitch, and now slip stitch into the corner. Okay, now we're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and now from now on until you finish your project, the corners are not, or instead of having 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets, it's just going to have 2 double crochets, chain 2 and 2 double crochets. Okay, so that chain 3 is the first one, so we need to do 1 more double crochet, 1. Okay, and that will give us the first set of 2, and then chain 2 and then 2 double crochets into that same corner. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, since we did an eyelet row, which was this row before with the holes in it, so this next row we need to do, for the next 2 rows actually, we need to do a solid row. Solid round, okay? And so the way you're going to do that is you're just going to place 1 double crochet into each double crochet and into each chain 1 space all the way across to the next corner, okay? So we're going to double crochet into the first 3 stitches, so 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and now we're beginning the chain 1 spaces. So we're going to do a double crochet into the chain 1 space, and then a double crochet into the double crochet. Double crochet into the next chain 1 space, double crochet into the next double crochet. Double crochet into the next chain 1 space, double crochet into the next double crochet. Okay? Double crochet into the next chain 1 space, double crochet in the next double crochet, double crochet in the next chain 1 space, and now we've got 3 double crochets left that do not have chain 1 spaces in between them, and so we're just going to do 1 double crochet into the next 3 double crochet stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and that will create a solid row of double crochets. Okay, now we're in the corner again, and remember we got a new corner assignment which is 2 double crochets, 1, 2, and then chain 2, 1, 2, and then 2 double crochets, 1, 2, into the same corner space. Okay, so now we're going to do that the same way for the remaining 3 sides. Okay, so we put a double crochet into each double crochet, 1, 2, and 3, and then when the eyelet stitches start, we have to put 1 double crochet in the chain 1 space, and then 1 double crochet in the top of the double crochets. Okay, and then you get over here, and then remember you have 3 at the end that have no chain 1 spaces in between, so you just do 1 in each of those 3, and that'll get you into the corner. Okay, and then when you get to the corner, you're going to do 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. Okay, so let me go across that side and then I'll do the corner with you. Okay, so I've worked across this side. This is my second side of this round, and now I'm ready to go into the corner space, and so I'm going to do 2 double crochets, 1, 2, and then chain 2, 1, 2, and then 2 double crochets, And now I'm ready to go across the next side. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. Double crochets where there's double crochets, and then double crochet in the chain 1 spaces, and in each double crochet across the eyelet piece, double crochet into these double crochet spaces there, 1 in each, and then we'll back to the corner, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. And you're going to do that for the next 2 sides, and I will meet you up when I get ready to join at the end of this round. Okay, so I've got to the end of this round, and I'm going to slip stitch into the next, or I mean the beginning, the top of the chain 3 that we started the round with. Okay. Okay, so that is the end of round 4, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yes. Okay. So going on to round 5, this is going to be a real easy round. We're just going to do a solid double crochets all the way around, 1 in each stitch, and then except for the corner, we're going to be doing the 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. Okay, so now as you can see, we ended up 1 stitch away from the corner, the top of that chain 3, so all we have to do now is slip stitch into that corner, but it'll be 1 less slip stitch that you'll have to do. So we're going to slip stitch into the next of into the top of the next double crochet, and then slip stitch into your corner. Now we're in the corner. Okay, so now we're going to start our corner, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then double crochet into that same corner space. That gives you your 2 double crochets, and then we're going to chain 2 and then 2 more double crochets into that corner space. Okay, and so like I said, we're going to do a solid double crochets all the way across, and just remember to make sure that you put the double crochet into that first stitch. It does not get hidden by your stitches that you just made. Make sure you get that first stitch double crochet into that. Okay, just like that. So now we're going to just double crochet all the way across, just 1 double crochet into each stitch. Okay, all the way across until we get to our next corner. Okay, and then I will meet you up when we get to that corner, and then I'll turn the corner with you, and then you can finish the round by yourself. Okay, so I've gone across my first side, and now I'm in the corner, so we're going to do 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and then chain 2, and then 2 double crochets into the same corner, 1 and 2. Okay, and now we're going to do 1 double crochet into each double crochet all the way across to the next side, and then do our 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet into the corner. Okay, and we're going to do that all the way around until we get to and I'll meet you up when I finish the round, where I'm getting ready to slip stitch into my first chain 3. Okay. Okay, so I just finished that round, and I'm getting ready to join it to end it off. So I'm going to do a slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 that was at the beginning of that round, and that ends that round, which is round 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Okay, now one mention, as you can see, my work is kind of wrinkling up. Well, don't worry too much about that, because my other one did that, and the further I went around, the more relaxed it got, and it will eventually start lying flat. Okay? Okay, so then we now are going to go into another eyelet round, and that's going to start our repeats. Okay, so as always, we're going to slip stitch into that corner, okay, by slip stitching into the next double crochet and then slip stitching into the corner. Okay, now we're going to start our corner like regular, so 2 double crochets. I mean, we're going to chain 3, and that makes a double crochet, and then another double crochet, which will make it the 2 that we need, and then chain 2, and then 2 double crochets into that same corner. Okay, now we're going to start one of the eyelet rounds. Okay, so we're going to start off with a chain 1, and then we're going to skip that first stitch, the one that kind of gets hidden sometimes. We're going to skip that one, and we're going to put a double crochet into the second double crochet on that round. Okay, And then we're going to repeat that pattern, skip one, chain one, and then skip one double crochet, and then double crochet in the next one. And we're going to do that all the way across. Skip one, and then, chain one, and then skip one, and then double crochet in the next one. Chain one, skip a stitch, and then double crochet into the next stitch. Okay? Chain one, skip a stitch, and then double crochet in the next one. Chain one, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next one. Chain one, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next one. Chain one, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next one, just like that. Okay? And let me get up. I'm going to speed up here and get to the end. Make sure you do a chain one in between those. Okay, so now I've got to the corner, and you know that you've got it right if you end up with your last double crochet into the second double crochet from the end. You know, the second one before the corner. See that? Because I have one double crochet left, and that's the one I'm going to skip, and then I'm going to go into my corner. Okay, so each round should end up like that. So you're going to do 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets into that corner. Okay, so you start the row, the round on the side of the eyelets with a chain 1 and skipping the first stitch, and then when you get to the end, right before you get to the next corner, you're going to chain 1 and you're going to skip the last one. So the first stitch and the last stitch are not worked into. Okay, that makes sense? Okay, so we're going to do that all the way around. Okay, and then I will meet you up when I'm going to join. Okay, so just make sure you put 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochets into the corners, and skip the first, chain 1 and skip the first stitch, and then do the eyelets, and then you will end up skipping the last stitch also. Chain 1 and skipping the last stitch before you put your corner in. Okay, so I'm going to finish this round, and then I will meet you when I get ready to join. Okay, so I just finished that round, and I ended up with a double crochet. I chained 1, and then remember I'm going to skip the last stitch, and then I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 to finish off that round. Okay, so that is all of our pattern, because now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into the corner, just like we usually do. Okay, so slip stitch into the next stitch, slip stitch into the corner, and then we're going to start our corners with two double crochets. So the chin up 3 will count as the first double crochet, and then do 1 more double crochet. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 more double crochet to make 2 of them, and then chain 2, and then 2 double crochets. Okay, you can do that in each of the corners. Okay, and then we're going to, for the next 2 rounds, we're going to do the solid rows, okay, where we're going to do a double crochet into each double crochet, and then a double crochet into the chain 1 spaces, and then the double crochet in the double crochets. Okay, and so let me show you on this project, the one I did already. Okay, so we're going to just keep doing that. Now in our sample, we are up to here where we just finished this eyelet round. Okay, so in each one now, we're going to do the eyelet round, and then we're going to do 2 rounds of the solid double crochets, you know, 1 double crochet into each stitch. And the way we accomplish that after the eyelet round is because we put 1 double crochet in each double crochet, and then 1 double crochet into the chain 1 space, okay, to make up for that one that we skipped, okay, because we don't want the stitch count to change drastically. You know, and the stitch count on each side should go up 2 stitches, since we're putting 2 double crochets in each corner. Okay, so anyway, we do that. We just finished that eyelet round, which is this one. We're going to do 2 rounds of just single double crochet in each double crochet, okay, and then each chain stitch, with still doing 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets in the corner. Okay, so we'll do that for 2 rows, and then we'll do another eyelet, And you can always back up the video and watch how we do the eyelet stitch again to get that round if you need to. And then after we do that, then we do 2 solid rows again, and then we just keep repeating that. 2 solid rows and then an eyelet row, and 2 solid rows, eyelet row. And then, like I said, the corners are all done exactly the same, okay? And so then you just keep repeating until you either run out of yarn or you get it to the size that you want, okay? Now, like I said, I did do this in a solid color, but you can do it in a self-striping yarn. That would give you color, but also you wouldn't have to be you know, changing colors and adding in new yarns and dealing with the extra yarn tails if you want to do it that way. Or you can plan it out. Maybe you want to do all this section here, or maybe up to this first eyelet round in one solid color, so then you can get the details of this center to show up real well. And then you can decide, you may change to another one, another color, and make it kind of have stripes, you know. So however color scheme you want to do, you can play around with it. But anyway, that's the end of the tutorial. I think that it's a great project. Like I said, it's a great one to have to whip up something. I think it works up pretty fast, and it's a pretty easy pattern, but it has an elegant look to it, I think. Okay. And like I said, you can kind of play around with the size of your hook size to get a nice drape to it, okay? And I would end up, I think probably I would end, when I'm going to finish this project, I will end up with the 2 solid double crochet rows instead of having the eyelet row on the edge, so that way it'll look more like I'm finished. So that is the end of this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this is a pattern that you may be able to use in something that you're making. I guess that's it, guys. And have a great weekend, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.